welcome to the Prospect Podcast on the Monday night. This is Coach Schumann. As always, I'm here with Coach D. I'm down here on my bottom right, and we have a great guest today. Guy's really done a great job turning around the program over at Gateway High School, Coach Daley. So we're excited to talk to him. Coach, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks guys for having me on, man. I'm excited we could finally get it going after a little bit of time. But man, I follow your stuff. You guys do a great job, and I'm just honored to be another name on a very highly touted podcast. So I appreciate you guys having me on for sure.
No, it's great to have you on. You're doing some great things, and obviously you have a great background. You were at Delaware Valley, at Minute State, Eastern Kentucky. You were Cherry Hill head coach there, and then you're at Sterling High School. So you've been at quite a few stops. You played at Towson as a QB then in Rowan, I think.
Yep.
After that, you played in Germany for a little bit in the pro ball era.
Yeah.
And you played in New Jersey high school wise. You played at Eastern, I think,
Yeah. I
correct?
graduated from Eastern in 2007, and man, I haven't stopped since then. It's been a whirlwind of
Yeah.
where's where and where we calling home this year, and finally settled down. I was telling Coach D before we got on, man, like finally settled down at my older age and kind of grown roots in South Jersey here as a high school coach, and kind of bounced around before that. So it's all been fun. It's all been learning experiences, and I'm truly blessed to be able to experience everything I've gotten to experience, and it's all really stemmed from football, man, and football has given me everything in life, honestly. So
Talk about the journey because obviously you're an excellent player yourself, and you went the college route for a while for quite a while, and then obviously coming back to high school. So talk about, and obviously you had a little stop as well, playing a little pro ball over there in Germany. So talk about your whole entire journey and kind of some of your experiences leading up to today.
yeah, sure. I mean, like I said, I graduated from Eastern High School in 2007. Went down to Towson University. I was a quarterback there. You might not. I don't know if this is you got video on this thing or what, but I was a couple hundred pounds ago. I might have been playing a little college quarterback. So I was down at Towson University. Was there for 2 years. Went through a coaching change. Transferred out. I actually spent a little bit of time at a Division II school called Gannon University, which you guys I'm sure are aware of.
Yep.
And then actually got out of football, Erie, Pennsylvania. I don't know if you've ever been to Erie, Pennsylvania, but it wasn't the place for me. Did not love my time there. I felt some type of way, got into my feelings a little bit, and kind of decided, hey, I wasn't going to play ball anymore. I was going to move to North Carolina, become a chef like I've always wanted to do. So I got the opportunity to go down to North Carolina. I was living with my cousin for a little bit and working as a private chef down there, and realized, hey, this isn't the same as playing ball. So ironically enough, one of my friends at Rowan University got in contact with me, and long story short, the Rowan University head coach at the time, Coach Jay Accorsi, who I recently had at my clinic a couple months
Yep.
ago, he's now he started the program at Salem Community College. Jay Accorsi
He was
called me
on.
and said,
He was on 2 weeks ago.
yeah,
Yep.
actually saw it. So Coach Accorsi called me and he said, hey, I heard you're home. I said, well, I'm not really home. I'm in North Carolina, but I'm not doing anything. He was like, well, if we can get you in school, do you think you would, consider come back and playing? And guys, I tell this story, and some people believe me, some people don't. I drove through the night. It was a Sunday night. I drove through the night, packed up my stuff in North Carolina, drove through the night back to New Jersey, got to Rowan, maybe about, I don't know, 7 o'clock, met with the coaching staff there, met with admissions, got all my stuff taken care of, and I was sitting in my first class at Rowan at about 10 a.m. So it all happened pretty quick. I was, practicing with the team, played at Rowan for a little bit, for a couple of years, and then, things didn't work out. It wasn't a good fit for me. It wasn't, and it was nothing to do with the coaching staff. It was my own mindset. Coming as a Division I transfer to a Division III program and being a young kid, I was admittedly arrogant. I wasn't a great teammate. I probably wasn't a great player. I wasn't easy to coach. I was carrying a little bit too much weight as a quarterback, and the coaches there recognized it and they weren't afraid to call me out on it, and I didn't particularly care for that. I got the opportunity to go from there. I got the opportunity to go over and play in Germany for a couple of years. I was a little hesitant because at the time, I think it was like 2011, it was so new to go over to Europe, and you're gonna what? You're gonna pay for my
Right.
flight, and
Yeah.
you're gonna pay me to live, and you're gonna pay for my transportation and cell phone and my housing, and you're gonna pay me to play, and all I got to do is practice twice a week and play in a football game. So it was a little bit of a little unnerving there. I had a lot of long Zoom meetings with the staff over there in Rostock, Germany, just to try and make sure that this is all legit, and it was. I enjoyed the heck out of my time there. It was great. I came back. I played there for a year. Came back home. Was done playing. I was older at the time, probably 23 or 24, and then I guess they brought in the next season. They brought in another quarterback who wound up getting hurt. And I was selling furniture at the time, some furniture, Raymore and Flanagan. You guys might know it, I'm not sure. But I was selling furniture, making a good living. And the coach from Rostock calls me. He says, "Hey, our quarterback just went down and we're about to play in the championship game in a couple of weeks. If you can come out for 3 games, would you be able to do it?" So I talked to my work and I said, "Hey, listen, I got the opportunity to go back to Germany. Would I be able to take a leave of absence for about a month and come back?" Dude, I took a leave of absence, went over to Germany, won the championship over there. They got moved up into the next division, came back home, went right back to my job, and then got into
Wild.
coaching. Yeah, it was crazy. Like I said, my 20s was a blur, man.
For most of us.
Yeah, exactly. And then I came back from Germany, played a little bit of arena ball. I say arena ball, I put it in quotes. It was like the minor league arena teams. It wasn't like the AFL, where your Philadelphia Soul or anything like that. It was the
IFL. Were you in the IFL?
I think it was the AIF or AIFA or something.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
it was one of those arena leagues where the turf was kind of like crumbled up on the hockey rink, and everybody's sliding all over the place, and you never knew if your checks were going to clear or if the hotel was going to kick you out because they weren't paying their rent, which is the case a couple times. So arena ball, and I'll go on record, like, arena ball sucks, and God bless the guys who do it, because it was the most painful thing that I've ever experienced in my life as a quarterback. Getting hit into those boards was unbelievable, man. So that was kind of like my playing career. That was the end of it. I tore my shoulder up, which I still have to this day, and I can barely throw 20 yards. So I'm out there throwing my kids now, and they're like, "You used to play QB?" I said, "Yeah, just go watch YouTube, all right? I don't need to prove nothing to you." So, yeah. So from there, I got into coaching, and you had mentioned, Sterling High School. That was my first gig under Coach Clint Wiley, who was a longtime assistant at Villanova, and he had taken the head job at Sterling. And I actually ran into him at a bar. He was like, "Yo, what are you doing?" I said, "Nothing, man." He was like, "Come out and coach." So that was my first coaching opportunity. From there, I went to Cherry Hill West. After that, we got the opportunity to go to a school called Jersey Coast Academy, which at the time was the only post-grad JUCO in the state of New Jersey at the time. And I use that term lightly because there's a lot of bad things that happened there. There's programs out there right now that are just kind of like money makers, and they're not really affiliated with schools, but they claim that they are. And that was one of those programs. Was Jersey Coast. And then I got my first real coaching gig, I think, at Delaware Valley, where I got the opportunity to go work for Coach Greco, who is the head coach at Westchester now. And I got the opportunity to go up and coach the quarterbacks up at Delaware Valley. I was making real paycheck, never had to worry about, I can't say I was making a lot of money, but I was never had to worry about if my checks were going to clear or not. So that was a good feeling. And that's really how I got my start, man. From there, I owe everything to Coach Greco and Delaware Valley for really getting me on the map and kind of pointing me in the right direction with coaching.
Talk a little bit about so when you were at Delaware Valley, talk about a little bit about the transition from going like playing pro and leaving all that behind to going
Yeah,
to Delaware Valley, going to college coaching. What was that
yeah. I
transition
mean,
like for you? Like from when you became a player for saying your coach. And it's also really interesting hearing how like you were, admittedly so that like you went through some things even as a player where you had to become change your mindset and
Sure.
change the way that you thought about things. So talk about that kind of transition, because then you had to obviously start to coach kids that you had to help along the way from that process. You know what I mean? So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, and I think that there was a very quick growing up process that had to take place with me. Like I said, I was when I was at Rowan, like I said, I wasn't in the right state of mind. I thought I was hot stuff coming in as a D1 transfer, and I had no reason to be, and I admit that now. And I wish things were different, but they weren't. But going into Del Val, like when I interviewed with Coach Greco, like he knew who I was because from recruiting South Jersey and stuff like that. But we interviewed for a couple hours up there at Del Val, and I was nervous. It was my first college interview, and he just wanted me to be myself, man. Like I didn't know how to be myself. We're really good friends now. Excuse me, we're really good friends now because I was able to be myself around him eventually. But that first interview, dude, he was like, you were just like, it was like a robot. You were just trying to give the right answers, what you think I wanted to hear. And I just wanted you to be you. And like, I knew that you were going to get there eventually. So he gave me an opportunity and we got there, and he's a great friend of mine. But, just being able to get into a program that prestigious at such a young point in my career, and working with the quarterbacks, which is obviously such an important position. It was a great opportunity for me. I was living on campus. It was full time. I wasn't making a whole lot of money, but I had recruiting responsibilities. I had academic, responsibilities with the team. And it was really a process where I had to grow up very quickly. And that's, at Del Val, I really realized that, hey, this is how this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, I want to do football all the time, and that's, I thought I was going to, stay in college for forever. It didn't work out that way. By choice, I had the opportunity to go to some other places. I went to Eastern Kentucky for a cup of coffee, if that, maybe a half a cup. I came back home, and I was selling tile for a little bit. And, I was living with my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. And I didn't have my degree because I had never finished school. And I'm just like, I was there for 2 years and, making good money. And she's just like, you're not happy. Like, you're not happy unless you're coaching. Like, you need to go back to school. My wife is really the one who pushed me to go back to school, finish my degree. So I finally finished my degree online. I went back to Del Val for a year. I was driving an hour and a half each way to practice every day. Thankful to Coach Greco for giving me the opportunity to go back there. He didn't think I was going to make it because I was, I wasn't living there anymore. I was living in South Jersey, driving up to Doylestown, PA. But yeah, I went up there again, got another year under my belt of coaching. And then I was, luckily enough to get into my first head coaching job at Cherry Hill East High School. And, I took over a program that was 0-33. They hadn't won a game in over 3 years, and kind of rebuilt that program, which is kind of my staple now. Just kind of a excuse me, a program rebuilder, which I enjoy. It's like playing video games where you're always taking the lowest team and you try and build them up into something great. And I feel like I've done a pretty good job of that wherever I've been. So.
God bless you for that. God bless you for that. There's a sainthood for coaches. You take over bad programs.
Well, there you go. The two of you are the same person.
Yeah.
Although
I'm out of the game. I'm out of the game now.
But look, and that's the other thing too, though. Like we're talking, like Coach, Coach, he doesn't like to brag or say anything about it, but some of the programs he's taking over, buddy. I mean, we're talking about dropping down to JV just to keep the program alive. You know what I'm saying? He's always, he takes the lesser of the high schools within, a 2 high school district where everybody goes to a school because football is the thing, you know what I mean? And he takes those over and then he just rocks with it and builds it, and there's something to be said for guys like that, I don't know if it's you want the challenge, you know what I mean? I'm sure that's a piece of it, but like it's just to me when you're given the keys to the Corvette, you know what I mean? Like it's a different ride than if you're, going to the used car lot and you're not really the pick of the litter isn't really what it is, but you do it for the right reasons and you have a process and you kind of just get after it.
Well, I think you're exactly right in that. And when I went to Cherry Hill, like it was my first head coaching job, my first head coaching opportunity. So I didn't care what the circumstances were. I have my own program now. My first workout, we had 9 kids. And after 4 years of being the head coach there, we had 75, 80 kids. And it's the same thing with, being at Gateway. Like Gateway is a small Group 1 school in South Jersey, but it's one of the only, if not the only Group 1 school last year that had a full freshman, JV, and varsity schedule. So I've taken that. We got almost 60 kids in that program, which is unheard of at that level. So
absolutely.
I'm dying here. I had to turn my fan off. My fan was blowing dust into my mic. I think that's what I'm doing. So excuse the coughing.
Please don't ingest any dust. That's not good. No doubt.
No, like I said, it's been fun. And then I got the opportunity. I wasn't teaching in Cherry Hill. I got the opportunity to, become a teacher now at Gateway. So I'm going into my 4th year, I think, as a teacher. It's a no-brainer, man. It's like we were talking before.
Right.
Like what profession can you do that allows you to coach? And the list is not very long. So to be able to do what I'm doing and continue coaching, it's a no-brainer for me. And really enjoy what I'm doing, but I enjoy doing this stuff on the side too, like what podcasting and all my broadcasting stuff too. And I'm blessed in that regard to have a good support system that allows me to do that.
Yeah, I think that one of the things with high school sports too, that's really coaches that are able to, like you are, be in the school. I think that's if that's able to be done, that's a great thing. And at a small school in particular, since you really get to know all the kids in the school. Bigger schools are a little different. Even if you're in the school, like you may only see a segment of the population. But in a small school, you really will meet basically every kid in the school at a Group 1 school. So so I think it really can make a huge impact. And it's great. It's amazing, seeing how quickly you turned it around.
Yeah, and I mean, and just to your point, like we have 8 coaches on staff, and 5 of us are in the building, which is unheard of at a school that level. So we're doing a really great job, and like I said, it really starts at the top with the support system and an administration that wants you to succeed. And I'm lucky enough to be in Gateway where they want the football program to succeed. I've kind of been given the keys to kind of shape this thing how I see fit, and it's been working. So we had a great year last year. We won. I took over the program. They were 1-9. I think we went 3-7. We went 3-7 our first year. We went 5-5 my second year, and then last year we went 7-3. And it's only the 8th time in school history that they have won 7 or more games. So things are really on the rise. Now they put us in a tougher division now because you guys know how New Jersey is. They switch divisions every 2 years. So
yeah,
we'll see how things go. We got a tough slate coming up. Every game's going to be a battle, but we have a good squad coming back. I'm really excited about it. But again, just to be given the opportunity and have the support from the top, it goes a long way. And like I said, it's from the top down. It's superintendent, school principal, the assistant principal is my athletic director. Everybody's been awesome and wanting to get this thing going in the right direction, and we have. So
yeah, no doubt. Talk about kind of what your steps are in building a program. So you kind of have, I'm sure you built like a template of like each thing that you got to get accomplished in this time frame in order to start making the next steps, right? So like I remember for me, that no matter whether I was there a long time or not, like I had this like process that I would go through. So, and then I would know that if this got done and this got done and this got done, then next year will be better here. And then this gets done and this gets done and this gets done, then the next year after that will be better, you know. And
Yeah.
I would gauge that each year to know if we were making the progress or we needed. And it had really wins and losses really became a byproduct of that,
Sure.
but really you could see you would see the steps kind of in wins and losses, but there was more of a byproduct. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think the number one thing when I took over in Cherry Hill, same with Gateway, is my first year there, dude, I got to build the numbers. Like I got to get the numbers up. We only got 25 kids at Gateway. We had, like you said, we had 9 at my first workout in Cherry Hill. Like, how do I build the numbers up? And I really realized that, dude, this isn't about me. Like, it's not like I had my time as a player. I have to make it as enjoyable as it possibly can be for the guys in my program. So I use this, this scenario when I was down. I spoke at the Glacier Clinics a month ago or whatever. And dude, I love country music. Use it as an example. Like I love listening to country music, but you're not going to hear a whole lot of country music in the weight room at Gateway or, in the weight room in Cherry Hill or out on the field at Gateway, because that's not what the kids are listening to. So I put my pride aside and I put the kids first and say, hey, okay, the kids want to listen to this type of music in the weight room because that makes it a more positive experience for them. It gets them excited. And now they're going to work a little bit harder. Now you got the kid walking down the hallway who kind of peeks in and they hear all this commotion coming from the weight room. What are all these guys screaming about? And what's this music that I know and like? And I'm going to look in and say, hey, I want to be a part of that too. And that's how the numbers grow organically, within your own school. And that's really my first goal when taking over a program that hasn't been successful. I've never taken over a program that's been successful, so I don't know. We're successful now, but that's really my first goal when taking over a program is to grow the numbers. And then from there, as you move forward, now you're establishing your culture. What do you expect on the field? How do you expect practice to be run? How do you expect your warm-ups in the game to be run? How do you expect your players to act on the sideline and all that stuff? And that comes with time. And I think we finally really bought into all that. We worked harder in the weight room than we ever have before this past year. I brought in a coach who was in the building, a longtime coach, Coach Karp. He's working with us now. He's been in the building for years, was a longtime football coach, and took a couple of years off and then came back last year, and he's been night and day difference. So we established that culture in the weight room now. And now the weight room every day is a competition. So we're not just competing, on the field 10 Saturday or 10 Friday nights a year. Now we're competing every day against each other, trying to push each other to be the best possible versions of ourselves. And that all comes with time, because the first month that I'm there, I really don't care about wins and losses. Like you said, it's a byproduct, but I care about growing the numbers. Now the numbers are where we want them. Now we got to make sure that the culture is what I want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get the culture to what you want it to be and the expectations that you set and everybody's on the same page, now we can move forward. And now we're going to start winning ball games because we can focus on scheme and we can focus on our opponents stronger rather than fixing ourselves. And I say every week is Gateway week. And I learned that from Coach Greco as well. We never worry about what anybody else is doing. We always got to be the best possible versions of ourselves. And I think that we've done such a good job of that over the past year that I'm really excited to where we're going. And obviously we had a great year last year, but I can't wait to see what this group has got in store for this coming season for sure.
Well, that's a great point there. So one of the things that I think, you talked about the numbers going up. I think that's a huge. It's interesting when I hear coaches who walk in the programs that are pretty good to begin with. Doesn't mean that they're always championship programs, but like have like at least some level of culture established versus a guy who has to build a program. And guys who walk into it do not value how important numbers are on a team as much as guys who really, I mean, there are some guys that do. I'm not, I don't want to say, globally that, but guys who are building a program have to focus, in my opinion, exactly what you did. You have to focus on generating interest in numbers because to me in the end, and then your second thing, organically getting them to the weight room, like, focus on what um the things that they like to do, like meeting them where they are, not where you are, meeting them on the other side of the fence,
Sure.
and doing that as much as you can, because it builds trust, and that's the biggest problem when you take over a program that's historically been not good, right? Or hasn't been good for a long time, whatever the
Right.
reason is, and or an inconsistent culture, and the hardest part is getting people to really understand how important those things are, and then the consistency of those things. Like they have to learn, like, what it's like to literally show up every day. Like,
Yeah.
that's like the first step. Your point about the 9 players, when I remember those experiences, and um I remember just thinking to myself, like, okay, like, wow, all right, I really have to, I'm really gonna have to work here. This is not gonna be, oh, hey, I had success myself. I coached
Yeah.
this place and that place and did well as an assistant, and they're just gonna fall into my lap. I
And,
was like,
and I,
whoa,
and I
like,
I tell the guys that too, coach. Like, hey, dude, I've had my time, man. Like I've done it as a player. I've coached at all 3 levels. Like, dude, I've been where a lot of these guys want to go. I'm here to
correct.
help you. I'm here to help you now. And it's and you put your trust in somebody, and and my guys will tell you, and I tell them all the time. I said, if I'm nothing else, I'm honest.
Yeah.
We have hard conversations. I always say, I said, if you want to play in college, there's a spot for you somewhere. It might not be where you think it is, though, and we'll have
Mm-hmm.
those conversations. A kid might want to think he can play at Penn State, whereas he might be playing at Penn State Abington. But like, that's where you got to
Right.
curb the expectations, really. And it's sometimes it's not the hardest thing to talk to the kid that way. It's more difficult to talk to the parents and have that
Yes,
conversation with the parents. And
very true.
I've had this conversation at nauseum about the whole transfer deals, and well, my kid's got a better opportunity to get recruited. I said, dude, the jersey doesn't change the player, man. Your kid is your kid, no matter where you're going to be. He'll be successful no matter if he's a good player. He'll be found, and not for nothing. My net, like, with my connections, and that's where I do use my background, dude. I know
Yep.
people, like, you got to trust me. You got to know that you got to trust the fact that I'm going to get you in touch with the right people. And I think that's where we're at with it now. Like I said, dude, you guys can attest to this. You got to start a new
Yeah.
job or something like that, and the first day on a new job, what do? They throw you a friggin' pizza party, and they tell you about all the benefits and how great everything is, and we're gonna have a great time, and this is what you get to do, and everything's all happy go lucky, and everything's great, and that's how you gotta get them in the first place. And then you get settled in, and you realize, hey, now we got to work, and that's the stage where we're at now. We have fun, but we don't want to be average anymore, and I don't think we are. So that's the work ethic that we've kind of instilled in our guys.
Yep, you got to roll up your sleeves, and the work has to get done. And what I love is that the standard, like, it, oh, you're better than last year. Great. Well, that's not our only goal,
Still
right?
not where we
So
want to be.
that's not where we want to be. Like, we want to be a program that year in and year out has a great chance for success, and that other people are like, oh my God, we gotta play these guys, right? And I think it's really cool to hear your process. Like, so the numbers is a big deal. Getting that consistency is a big deal. Creating um a culture where kids want to be there and want to they want to compete. I think that's a big part. Like you talked about the competition
No
part.
doubt.
Kids that are in programs that haven't had success before don't really know what good competition looks like competing well looks like, right?
Coach,
And
we're a Group 1 school, right? We're the bottom of the barrel in the state of New Jersey when it comes to size. Every summer we go to camp with Washington Township High School, who just won the Group 5 state championship this year, and we go to camp with them for 3 days, and it's us and Washington Township, and we're in uppers, and we go through joint practices, and we go through drills together.
awesome.
And I said we will never ever see a team like this. But my guys, they show up, they compete. We get our friggin' butts kicked most of the time, but it's such a great learning experience. And I'm really good friends with Coach Schatzman over there at Washington Township. Our guys look forward to it every year because they know this is what it takes, man. And this is how a program, if we're going to win championships and we want to get to where we got to go, where we want to go, this is how we got to run things. And my guys love it. I said, they don't back down from a challenge. I got a scrappy group of kids who they're like, yeah, bring it. Let's go. Like, I got my offensive and defensive line are the same dudes. Like everybody's going two ways. Like they don't care. They just go out there and compete, and they're gritty. And then, you can't really ask for much more as a coach, but I go back to a point you guys mentioned before, like talking about the success of a program. I've interviewed for a lot of jobs, whether it's college, high school. I haven't interviewed for a lot of jobs recently because I have no desire to. I haven't interviewed for any job since I've been at Gateway. One of the same questions that I ask every time I'm on an interview, and I ask it to the athletic director or to the principal or whoever it is if you put wins and losses aside, would you still consider your football program a successful program outside of wins and losses? And they look at me like, damn, that's a deep question. And they have to think of it. And some programs say, yes, I would consider our program a successful program, wins and losses aside. Or some of them would say, no, I don't think that our program culturally is where we want it to be, and I wouldn't consider it a successful program. And if I can go somewhere and somebody were to come behind me and ask that same question to my boss or my athletic director, it's my job for my athletic director to say without hesitation that, yes, this has been a successful program regardless of our wins and losses. And I take great pride in that.
I think that's a big deal. And I think that's I wish I asked some of those questions when I was interviewing. It's you have to be able to interview them as much as they're interviewing you.
Absolutely.
And it, long ago when you were a pup and Derek was a pup, you really could, you kind of knew, even if the program wasn't great, sports was like at the forefront of most schools' mindset. And you usually had, and the athletic director was usually a sports guy, first of all. Sometimes now you don't even get a sports guy.
Sometimes, yeah.
Athletic director. Yeah, I mean, which is kind of shocking, but that is true.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is true. I've been there, so
no doubt.
I can tell you. But it used to be like, I mean, even teams that weren't that great, sports was an important thing. You know what I mean, for most part,
Sure.
right? So you knew kind of what you were getting into. Some were better than others, but now in today's culture, like you have to know the things that you're talking about, and those are questions you got to ask, because you could walk into a school and they really have no commitment to sports whatsoever, and you go
they just
and you
have
take
to fill a
football
position.
job. Yeah, they're
right. Like they just need a body.
Yeah, I think
like,
I'm at.
Whoa.
I'm sure you guys would say the same. Like I'm at the point of my coaching career and at the point of my life where I'm not taking a job just to take a job, man. I don't need to, I enjoy where I'm at. And I enjoy the people that I work with. Now, if that ever changed, I'd have to see how the next guy came in and how things went. But like you said, like I said earlier, there's no success if there's not a backing from administration, the community, the parents. I just remember one of my first scrimmages at Gateway, and it was a freshman player or a sophomore player, I forget, but he had played last year, and kind of like notorious for being, hey, one of the better players on the team, but having a real crappy attitude. And I just remember he did something, and he came off to the sideline, and I laid into him, man. I said, this isn't how things are going to go. Blah blah blah. You're not a freshman anymore. This, that, the other. And after I was done, one of the parents screamed out, "Hell yeah, coach!" And then I got a round of applause after like reaming out the player. And I was like, all right, now I know I'm in the right spot. I can coach these kids hard the way they need to be coached. And I'm not going to have 15 parent emails sitting in my inbox when I come off the field saying, well, why'd you make my kid do this? Or why'd you talk to my kid this way? Or something like that. And not that I'm degrading or anything like that, but some places you can coach kids hard and some places you can't. And that's why I'm happy where I'm at, because I'm able to do things the right way. And I'm I pride myself in doing things the right way, whether it's holding kids accountable in the classroom or, on the field. It doesn't really matter. Like I follow the rules. I play within the rules of the game. And we run a tight ship, and I'm proud of
it. Coach, it's one of the things that I really love about Group 1 coaches, like it's just, and look, Dave and I both went through Group 1 schools, right? We are Group 1 products of what it is. We understand it, right? The best football player, the best athletes, like if you don't play every sport, those other sports probably aren't very good. You know what I mean? And,
right.
And there's just something about too, like, like never leaving the field for 3 years of high school ball, right? Because there ain't nobody else, dude. Like it just kind of is what it is. And I just think that whole mentality of, who you're around. And look, Dave and I both went to Group 1s, but he's the first to say, like, we went to very different Group 1s, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like in terms of the wins, the losses, just the not that his school wasn't focused on sports, but, it just, where I went is like uber sports powerful. Like that's what rules the roost, no matter what it is. And you can try and say whatever. Right. And the town accepts that too. Right. I mean, it is literally what it is. But I just think, like, I've always said to guys, like, look, you want to learn how to coach, man, like really coach Group 1 ball, where your quarterback is your starting safety. He's your kicker. He's your punter. He's the water boy, right? Or you got 4 guys on your staff and that's it. You know what I mean? You're wearing every hat possible. And if you can have a JV team and a freshman team, that's freaking unbelievable. You know what I mean? Like there's just so much more logistical stuff that goes with being at a Group 1, because you don't have some of the things that the other places do, or just the numbers in general. And, one injury could be your entire season. And that's not because you haven't really like work the other kids to develop them. It's just literally, that's how the waves of talent kind of go through it in Group 1. Sometimes you get a good group. Sometimes you get a group that just, man, they're just not what it can be. And look, as coaches, we do our best and try to get the most out of every single kid. And, it's really what it is all about. Like for me to see a kid, like, I don't like to see guys compare themselves. Like, just show me where you started, buddy, and where you finish. And if we're in a better spot, then that's a win, right? Like, I don't need you to compare yourself and be like, oh, hey, well, this guy runs a 4.4 and I only run this, or this guy benches this. And now, I only bench this. It's like, well, you went from barely even be able to get the bar off your chest to now as a senior throwing around 225 like it's, nothing. Like, that's improvement, buddy. Or even a guy that's like, that sophomore that now, hey, well, he benches 225 and it's like, I only bench 185. All right, but by the time the season comes, you're at 225. So good for you, man. You know what I mean? Like, really kind of stress those things to the kids. Yeah, it's a team sport, but I'm also here to like make you a better human, buddy, because most of you aren't going to play college football. And I don't like to be the dream killer either, but I love you enough to have those conversations and set you like, I know you think you're going to Alabama, but maybe we should take a look at Rowan,
Yeah.
and that's not a shot on Rowan or whatever. And I want kids to have dreams, but I got to care enough too to like bring you back to, earth here. Okay. And let me find you that spot and let me develop you as a person and as a group one guy, especially when you're in the building. Like Coach said, you're seeing those guys day in and day out, and you're at their basketball games or you're at whatever they're doing. You're just there and they're involved in it. And you're vested maybe a little bit more than when, you're at a group 5 school with 2,400 kids and, the two corners don't even know who each other are. Right.
Yeah.
They never even pass each other in the hallway. There's just something about like that smaller atmosphere that adds, I don't know, just to me a little bit more. I always say those guys really have to coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think to touch on what you're saying too. And I think like when I was back in Cherry Hill, like, dude, I was working there, but I wasn't a teacher. I was a security guard. Okay. So I was always perceived in a negative light because anytime you see the security guard walking, anytime you see the security guard walking around, it's like, oh boy, what's Coach Daley going to say, or what, is he pulling somebody out of class, or did he catch somebody vaping or something? And now, having my own classroom, and you guys know how I teach construction, man. You guys know it's like wood shop, and you guys know how that used to be.
That's amazing that they even still have that.
Yeah, it's great. The trades are coming back, but I got a ton of my kids in my classes, and to be able to see them every day and have that experience. And my kid, I'm tough on my guys, and they bust my chops because, they say they never see me smile and stuff like that. It's because, dude, also like we're working, man. We're not friends right now. Like as bad as that sounds, like, dude, I'm trying to make you the best possible version of yourself. And it goes back to, you talking about being in the weight room and stuff like that. Like, dude, it's individual battles. And hey, you might not be here yet, but you keep working, you keep coming in, you're going to get there. But on the other hand, it's so tough in group one because, dude, I had like 14 guys in the weight room over the winter, which was a lot because everybody does winter sports. I got like maybe 5 guys in the weight room right now in the spring that aren't doing a spring sport. So like to build that continuity is really, really tough. And, I'll get them back in June and we'll all be together in June again. But, like you said, it's, if you're not playing another sport at the school, they're probably not doing that well in that program because the athletes are the athletes, man. And the best athletes, especially at smaller schools, they kind of take on every role. And that's what my guys are doing right now. So the weight room's a little less crowded, which is tough, but I know that they're out there. Most of them are out there doing the right thing. Though, and they're being active.
That's important. And we talk about that too with the multi-sport guys all the time, right? Like you only have one opportunity to play high school sports. And with the way guys kind of, everybody wants to just be that one sport person now because, you can do most sports now year round. I mean, and we talk about it with football, like now with the expansion of like 7-on-7 and flag leagues and all that, even though, look, we are firm believers, and I won't speak for Dave, but I know kind of how he feels that, even though it's football, it's not football. You know what I'm saying? Like they are 3 different sports. Now there are aspects of it that can aid you no matter what, but it ain't the end all be all. And there's nothing like putting pads on and playing tackle football. But even as much quote football guys that we are, I would much rather you go out there and wrestle or play basketball, right? Rather than just go to your trainer or do that kind of stuff. Like go compete, go play a game, right? Like be around like-minded guys and build that team camaraderie stuff, because those are the lessons. That's where the lessons get taught. It's that help you win on Friday night, right?
I want all my guys to wrestle. Like I think wrestling is the best possible thing that you could do as a football player, especially like as a lineman, as a big guy. Dude, go wrestle, man. Go get quicker on your feet. Go build that toughness. I don't need to hear you, and no knock to anybody, but like you're playing golf. Like, what are you doing? Like, how's that helping you, man? Like, I love golf. I golf a lot. I never gained an ounce of muscle playing golf.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's actually quite the opposite when you get older, if you know what I'm saying. So
There's no doubt. I think that's listen, it's just because it's such a huge debate and goes back and forth. Now in group one, I firmly believe more than any other type of school that kids playing multiple sports is a big help. First of all, to the overall all the athletic programs, because the best athletes, you know who the best athletes are for the most part, and it's a certain group of kids, and they could travel together and make the all multiple programs really successful. But it's interesting to debate with multi-sport athletes versus highly specialized athletes, and there's like, to me, there's a couple of ways you really could look at it. I look at it as a couple of things. Obviously, I 100% believe that multi-sport develops the overall general athlete, especially when they're younger, right? Like, it develops all the skills that you just can't account for by just doing one thing over and over again. So, like every athletic movement for each sport is slightly different, and those, I think, build the overall athlete. And that's the first thing I always say, is like, in the end, everyone always talks about college, okay? Like parents love to talk about right. You want to talk about college, but my thing always is like, if the best your kid has to be the best athlete he can be, and probably as fast and as powerful as he can be, right? In order to be a college athlete, obviously size and all that stuff, those are things that become factors. But ultimately, that's going to be a really, really important thing. Now, I get it; there are specialized positions. Quarterback's one of them, but even there, I mean,
did I
to
tell all
drop
my
back.
guys go out and play multiple sports, man? But for instance, like I got a few offensive linemen that are playing baseball right now. Like, okay, great,
Yeah,
go play baseball, go have fun, but make sure you're finding time to get your lifts in, because
right.
you just busted your butt for 3 months in the weight room, and you made these gains, and now you're going to play a spring sport, which I'm totally fine with, but you don't want to lose all of it. You don't want to come back in
Well, you
June
don't want to.
and then have to start over,
You don't want to. You can't do. That's the big thing. Is like, you can't do nothing. Baseball is tough in high school, even though I think baseball has a tremendous amount of value, but it's time consuming, okay? And it eventually becomes highly specialized in the skill set, right? Um, and one of the things with football, there are things with baseball that are great, like hand-eye coordination. Like, obviously, if the kid's a center fielder and he's tracking balls, no doubt. Like,
Right.
there's shortstop probably is very valuable. There's certain things that obviously are, but they have to obviously make sure they train, because if a parent ever is talking about like recruiting, like, your kid's got to be able to run. If your kid can't run fast, even linemen, like, they have to be able to run, and you have to figure out how you're gonna be able to do that, and how you're gonna be able to get in your strength development part, and that's an important thing. Now, if you should be able to listen. There's one thing where I always are, and people now obviously see it, but in baseball, I'm like, it's pretty simple. The more powerful and explosive you are and fast you are, it's going to turn into fast twitch and hitting the ball.
Right. You'll be a better
Fast
baseball
twitch.
player too. Like, you'll be a better football player and a better baseball player.
I think that, like, the more I see these things in, like, with baseball, I'm going to like the highest level, but man, you see these guys. I mean, they're almost they're like lifters now. You know what I mean? Like, really big into power stuff, because they all, the steroid era brought it to light. But like, the more powerful you are, the farther the ball is going to
Yeah.
go. It's pretty
I just think
simple,
it's self-awareness, and these guys know, like you
right?
said, that, why wouldn't you want to be at the peak possible fitness level that you could be at when you're playing a sport, like, dude, I love John Kruk, but like the days of John Kruk, you don't see him very often in baseball, like, you're not sitting there drinking a beer in the dugout and having a hot dog anymore. These guys are finely tuned athletes, and they focus on their training, and that's why I try and tell my guys, I'm like, listen, if you want to go out there and play another sport, you are certainly free to do that, and I will never tell you that you can't. But you got to make sure that you're taking care of business, man, and getting your stuff done. And it's going to be a little bit of an extra commitment if you want to maintain what you've gained over the past few months.
Was there any pushback from other sport coaches? Because one of the things that when you come in, and I found this, takes a little time. When you come into a program that you got to rebuild or build, whatever the situation is from the ground, people are used to the football program being the doormat, so they just sell everybody on the other stuff, and like that football doesn't matter. But when it starts to change, like where football matters, um, I found that there's almost an education process with other sport coaches. It's like, hey, like these kids are here to succeed. They're going to be in a weight room. It's not going to take away, it when when you're at a place when all the programs are good, or you know what I mean. I'm trying to think of a program down by you guys, but like Washington Township, right? All the programs are good. All the sport coaches kind of understand what each sports deal is.
Yep.
You have to, once you start to get good, like people are like, wait a minute, you're taking away from my sport. Like what's
yeah.
So is there some process that you kind of had to go through with other coaches in the building and
for
stuff
sure?
Like that?
And you know what? And as crazy as this sounds, and I have friends in Cherry Hill, and the athletic director is still a good friend of mine, but I had that more in Cherry Hill at a Group 5 school than I do here at Gateway. I would walk into Cherry Hill, and we would have a tough loss against a good team or something, but we were close and we were right there. And I would have a teacher literally say to me, like, "Oh, that's all right. Nobody really expects you guys to win anyway, right?" And it took everything that I had in my power not to just like go off on them and go into total like football coaching mode and be like, "Who the bleep you think you're talking to? Like, these are like blah blah blah." And like I haven't had that at Gateway because, again, it starts at the top, man. There's a great group of coaches there, but the administration wants to be successful, so
that's good.
Allowing the weight room. If you ever go to Gateway's the weight room at Gateway, and I'm not blowing smoke, is one of the nicest high school weight rooms that I've been in, not just in Group 1, just in general. Okay, so they invest a ton of money into it. It's beautiful. I'll have to send you guys some pictures tomorrow when I get in.
Definitely.
But the only thing that I had to it's funny, like the only thing that like I had to like step on eggshells a little bit here at Gateway my first year or so was taking over the music in the weight room. And I guess all the other coaches were used to a different type of music or whatever, but I'm like, dude, listen, when I got 50 guys in here, like I'm not, we're getting after it our way. And that was the biggest hurdle, I think. But man, like, dude, the wrestling coach is awesome. The basketball coach, baseball coach, one of my good friends, girls basketball, dude, everybody wants everybody to be successful, and it's really a great place to be. But like I said, it's not like that everywhere, and it wasn't like that on my last stop. And I'm not throwing anybody under the bus because, like I said, I'm good friends with the athletic director still, and he knows. But dude, it's just, if you haven't been successful, it's just easy for people, and they don't know how offensive that they're being. It's like I would go up to a chemistry teacher and be like, "Hey, heard your test scores were down. It's all right. Nobody really expected you to do a good job anyway, right?" Like how would you take that? Like, dude, I'm not teaching because I'm a career educator. I'm teaching because I'm a football coach. And this is what I love to do, and this is what I take pride in. Like, dude, don't come at me with that mess. Like, like if you don't got nothing to say that's positive, I really don't want to talk to you. And it hasn't been like that at Gateway. It's pretty awesome for the most part.
That is phenomenal. That is really, really phenomenal. I mean, I think that's where you have a good chance to not just have success, but also to sustain it, right? You're not winning in spite of, you're winning because of, and that's
dude, and it's great. Like, I'll come back to the office, the coach's office after a game, and I'll have 35 text messages from staff members and be like, "Yo, I was watching the game on live stream. You guys kicked ass." Like, it's like, dude, it's awesome. It's a great feeling, and it's great to be a part of that, and we all reciprocate it with each other, I think.
I do have a question. It's kind of not football related, but
Yep.
it has to do with your. I mean, I guess it is kind of football related, but you have with the podcasting and the other stuff you do, like you have a lot of interests. You know what I mean? And I think it's really cool. Like you have obviously football and sport. You know that's your number one interest, but you have a lot of interest. Not every coach is like that, right? Uh,
Yeah.
talk about like for your own self, like why those interests are important to you. Does that give you balance? Is it just you're a person that likes different things? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Talk a little bit about that.
Dude, I really think, and this is kind of like I'm like Shrek, like an onion with the layers. You know, you like peel them back, and it's gonna sound some type of way, but like I didn't. I have a lot of. I always love being in front of a camera. I always love being in front of a camera and having a microphone in my face. Whether it's acting, whether it's podcast, whether it's commentary, which I've been doing now. Like, dude, I've always had a passion for it. And it wasn't until after high school, after college, like I went to Towson for communications. Well, I went to Towson for physical education. Here's a story. Go to Towson. First or second day that we're there, I'm on full scholarship, obviously. I'm 19 years old. I don't know any better. I meet with my academic athletic advisor, and he says, what do you want to do? I says, I want to major in physical education, and I want to be a coach. And he says, I'm not going to let you take the easy way out. I was like, what? He's like, anybody could be a coach. I'm like, but that's what I want to do. Like, I'm telling you, that's what I want to, like, he was like, anybody could be a coach. I'm not going to let you take the easy way out. I'm going to put you in communications. I'm like, not knowing what I know now. I'm like, hold up. You're saying you don't want me to take the easy way out, but you're putting me in communications. It's not a shot at communications majors, but it's not the toughest major in the world either. Right. So that, like, I didn't know, man. I was 19 years old. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to coach, and I knew I wanted to teach. But I got told from day one that, no, we're not going to let you do that. And that's stuck with me. I tell that story a lot, man. That's stuck with me for however many years. And here I am now, 20 years later, 17 years later, whatever it is, and I'm teaching and I'm coaching, and I'm more successful than I've ever been with any other position, any other job I've done in my life. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But back to your question, like I majored in communications, minored in public speaking. Always had that interest. I've always liked acting and stuff like that. And then, a few years ago, I get into the podcasting and had a little mild success with the podcast, the Coaches Challenge, which I don't run anymore, or I don't use anymore. Doing coaches interviews and stuff like that. And now we have the new podcast with a good coach or a good friend of mine, Move Scanlon, who's a coach down in Egg Harbor, Daily Move Pod. We're doing that now, and we're having good success with it, and it's fun. But you talk about balance, and like I'm 37 years old. Like, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to do what I'm doing. Like, I just want to have fun. I want to enjoy what I'm doing, and I say yes. I rarely say no, man. And for the longest time, I worried too much about what other people thought about me. Like, what are people going to think if they see me on social media with a microphone in my face on a podcast? Like, oh, like Coach Daley's corner. Like, dude, I worried about that so much until maybe 5 or 6 years ago when I finally realized, like, dude, I'm just doing what makes me happy. And this has always made me happy. I've always wanted to do it. I enjoy talking. I enjoy being on camera. I love it, man. And it allows me to do that. And I've always wanted to do the commentary. And last 2 summers ago, I was 35 years old. I'm like, how the hell do I get into commentary at this point in my life? I said, I've got so much like background knowledge. I have so much to bring to a booth, because you listen to some of these guys and I'm like, dude, what are we doing? And I literally sat in my basement where I am right now. I found a video of a football game that didn't have any commentary over it. It was just a full football game, right? I Googled the date of the game. I Googled the players, or the roster. I Googled the stats, and I sat there and I screen recorded, just like I'm sitting here right now. I screen recorded a play-by-play of myself for about 25 minutes calling a football game in my basement. I cut up the clips. I sent it out to like every college from, just like the kids do when you're trying to get recruited, right? You're just emailing your huddle clips, right? I'm emailing my commentary clips. I sent it out to every college from, probably like New York down to Virginia. I'm like, I don't know how far I'm willing to travel. I don't really know how much they get paid. So who knows? Send it out. I get like 3 responses. Hey, love what you can bring to the booth. We really liked your work. We want to bring you on, blah, blah, blah. I wound up going out to Shippensburg. I was the color commentator for Shippensburg 2 years ago. I did some work for Princeton University football. I did sideline reporting for Princeton this year, which was awesome. I'm the full-time color commentator at Westchester University, full-time play-by-play for Stockton University, men and women's basketball. And for the past 2 years, I've done the state championship football games with Dan Long up there for NJ.com, and it's been awesome, dude. And it was all based off of one night in my basement. I made a film, sent it out, and that's how it got started, dude. And I love it. And like you said, football is my number one priority, so I work everything around my football schedule. But if there's a chance for me to go call a game, like I'm calling a game this Saturday up in Patterson, the Jersey Shore Wave. It's a women's football league. I'm doing color commentary for that. I said, if I get the chance to go and get some more experience, man, I'm going to do it. I absolutely love being in front of the mic. I love calling the games, and I really just don't give a crap what people think anymore, man. I think it's really opened up my enjoyment of life, and I think I enjoy life a lot better.
I think that's a big deal. I think being able to focus on what you want to get accomplished and the things that you enjoy makes all the other experiences a lot better. And when you're young, you're kind of like trained to worry about what other people think, almost just
no doubt.
Behavior, especially boys, I think, don't misbehave, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? So you start to like, you kind of start to get cultured that way. But when you become an adult and you kind of really like leave college and you start to get off on your own and stuff, and no doubt as you start to get a family, you know what I mean? Like you get these, you start to get like, hey, like, why am I worried about like if this person doesn't like what I say or doesn't like it, they're not gonna like me anyway. If they don't like me, they're not gonna like me anyway.
And that's the thing too. People want to bust my chops, be like, hey, saw you on the podcast the other day. I'm like, yep, that's my podcast. Like making a couple extra bucks. Like it's pretty cool. Sit there in my basement, talk about football and get paid to do it. Like what's the problem, man? What is the problem? Just because you don't enjoy what you're doing doesn't mean you need to come at anybody else or say,
because they can't. They want to do it, but they can't.
Or are willing to put themselves out there,
or take a risk, or look, even
so I said, I'm not the smartest guy, dude. I don't have all the answers. I have so much to learn that I don't know. There's so many people smarter than me when it comes to like football, football related. Like, dude, I've done pretty well where I've been. I like to talk about it. I like to talk about, philosophy and stuff like that. Now you get me on a whiteboard. I'm sure there's guys that are going to, out coach me there. I don't know what you want me to say, but like, I'm just enjoying myself, man. And that's how I talk to people. And you got a problem with it. At this point, I really don't care. Like you said, I've said it earlier, like, dude, I don't want to talk to you. So. Sorry.
Well, I think it's one of the hardest lessons too to teach our young kids, right, or our athletes, right, because they're going through this time, middle school, high school, where like fitting in and being a part of it and being included and wanting to be accepted is like literally life or death. Like we see, you see a world where, the suicide rates because of peer pressure or fitting in or bullying, like these are real life. We're talking real life shit here about like, I just want to sit at the cool table,
Yep.
And I think for us as coaches, one of the greatest things we can do is still a sense of belief in our kids to believe in themselves and give them that self-confidence of like, you know what I mean? Like you don't have to be that guy, man. Like you can take your own path. by being a part of something bigger than yourself and feel included just in your role. Like you don't need to score every touchdown, dude. You don't have to be the quarterback, but you can run down on kickoff, and maybe it's only 4 times a game, but you can still impact it where when you go down and you do something good and that guy that does score all the touchdowns comes up to you and says, buddy, great play, or that was this. Now that kid feels a part of something bigger than themselves. And that's like life, because it's going to kick you in your teeth. It's going to suck. It's going to be miserable. But if you just put your head down and work and understand that I can be really good at something and finding that niche, right? And just having that confidence through life, like that's something that we have the ability to help these kids do. And to me, that's what it's all about. Like, look, I love winning more than anybody else. I love football. I love the X's and O's. I love all that stuff. But more than anything, I just love, being a part of these kids, their journey and their maturation process, and seeing them as a scrawny little freshman who's out there like Bambi. And then before you know it, they're a senior and they're an all division guy, or just that they've just come so much further than where they were. Like I prefaced it before about like just getting better for yourself, right? Like what is better for you, no one else. And then watching them through that and trying to explain to them like, buddy, this is not the end all be all of like whether or not you're a great football player in high school, because a lot more of your life happens after you take off this helmet. But if I can instill some of these things in you, these values, these core things that you'll think about and that you'll take with you in whatever you do, right? Whether, husband, father, work, like whatever job you to pick, but just being an overall good human being. Like if I can have a piece of that and you could recognize that that's what I want out of you more than just how many tackles you can make or how many touchdowns you can score. Like now we're really talking, like that's what coaching is all about, at least for me. Right. And that's why I got into it, because I knew how many coaches influenced me as to who I am today, right? Because I wouldn't be who I was today without some of those guys. And look, that was good. That was coaches that were good. That was coaches that were bad. Like either way, they shaped it some way, shape, or form. It just always came back to the impact that those guys had. And I'm sure all of us could go around here and, even our viewers could go and point out like a coach that really had an influence on them and a coach that they despised and had an influence in another way, right? Just like teachers, you can figure out who was your favorite teacher and who you hated and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's a gig that I think has so much more other than like, it ain't about money. Cause believe me, you ain't teaching for money or doing any of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? That ain't what it's all about.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head. You can go to any program I've been at and like, dude, just be a good, like you hit it, coach. Like just be a good person. And that's what I try and stress. Like, dude, you're sitting in the lunchroom and somebody's sitting by themselves. Go talk to somebody, go say hello, or go, step out of your comfort zone a little bit, because like you said, everybody wants to sit at the cool table, but the reality is like the cool table isn't always cool, man. Trust me. And, I talk about my maturation process and my growing up, like, dude, sometimes I wish I didn't make the decisions I made in high school. And like I said, I'm making them now, and I'm so much happier just, from an everyday standpoint, man, doing what I'm doing. And everybody loves it, man. They say, yo, I love the podcast last night, or, hey, listen to your call last night. It was great, blah, blah, blah. And dude, like, everybody's cool. I mean, and if they're not, like you said,
we get it all the time, coach. You know what I mean? Like even just through doing this, and look, Coach Schumann had a pretty big following before we did any of this kind of stuff, just based off of his reputation that he created through his, his NUC sports and his camps and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, dude, we'll be walking around in a 7-on-7 and I'll have either like a random parent or a referee that's like, hey, dude, like that was a really good show the other day with such and such. And you're like, holy shit, people actually watch this thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
no, it's cool.
It's been a really cool
feeling, right? Yeah, it's a cool feeling.
It's just funny because it's like, here you are kind of just like, and especially for what we do with the variety of guests that we have and, the topics that we cover, right? It's not like you tune in to watch the Prospect podcast and you know what you're going to get. Like you tune in and you're like, holy shit, who do they have on today? oh, damn, they're talking about mental health today, or, oh shit,
Yep.
they're talking about strength and conditioning today, or wait, they have the head coach from Oregon women's soccer on. Like, what are we talking about? Like, or wait, you have an athletic director, a female athletic director from Tennessee. Like, why would you know what I mean? And then it's because you could just take something from everyone. And Coach Shu will attest to this, because we say this all the time. Like, we've learned so much more from just like when we weren't expecting to, like, just based off of like things that like you never would think about. Like, you're talking to a high school coach in Wisconsin, he's dealing with a lot of different shit than the guy in South Florida. But even in that, it's all still the same shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're all just trying to get, knowledge and get our younger athletes in a better positions. And, if we can do that through just having conversations, or just, like you said, getting out of your comfort zone, because I do think that there is a very, like, at young ages, you're kind of penciled into a category of like, hey, if you do this, it's supposed to be done this way. And that's just not the case, man. And especially with technology and the access that we have to knowledge now. I mean, look, it's why there's 1,000, trainers on YouTube, like whether they're good, bad, or whatever, like you can go and find something and learn some shit, like whether it's good, bad, like it's all out there for you. So, this generation has such access to do things that we never would have ever imagined. You know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy. And it's nice to be at the forefront of that, where I think, even with like the way the world is now with technology and all this other kind of stuff, I still think that personal touch of like, you know what I mean? Like, just having, like, being a good person still resonates across the board, no matter what, that's going to get you a lot further than being a douche, or being an asshole. Like, it just is what it is. Just be a really good person, bro. And that really kind of
takes people.
And I think
it takes people a little bit longer sometimes, like myself.
No
like I was a D-bag until I was 25. And I admit that, and I'm not proud of it, but I'm so proud of, and I credit my wife, because my wife changed the shit out of me. Like, my wife,
no doubt,
took me.
They always do. We hate it, and I hate to admit it, but they do.
Yeah,
they do.
And she didn't change me. If she didn't change me, so to speak, like, she didn't make me change, but like, just being with her, having a family now, having kids, like, dude, there's nothing. It's like you said, it's just being a good person, man. Being a good person and not really caring what anybody else thinks. Like, dude, I'm not hurting anybody, man. I'm having fun, and I try and stress that to my kids too. Just try
as long
everything.
as you're doing right? Like, as long as you're doing right by majority of people. And look, and Coach Schumann's had a first-hand seat, like, for me and my maturation process. Like, he's seen me as like a young pup, and then like, having a family, and now like having young kids, right? Where, his son's a little older than mine. So he's already been through it. And, he just sits back and laugh when I'm telling him like, this, that, or whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, I remember those days. Like, you know what I mean? Like, like hey, get ready, buddy. Cause when you get to this age, you know what I mean? Like, it's just that process of maturation, and we all go through it at different levels, right? Whether it hits in high school, whether it hits in college, and you may have different shifts from it too, right? Like, or, hey, you're going to take that risk and take a job or change or get out of a field. I mean, Coach Shu's a first example of that. Like, he got out of college and like, he wasn't coaching or teaching or doing any of that kind of stuff. Like, he was making real money. And then all of a sudden it was like, you know what, dude, like, I don't really want to do this. Like, let me go do this. But, he's an example of like, hey, I can take an entrepreneur attitude or mindset, and I can still coach high school football where, like we were talking pre-show, like, it's hard to find guys that, if you're not in education, that can coach, right? It's just, it just doesn't work like that. So, I've had a first class ticket too, to see how you can do things differently and then still ultimately be successful. And that's, that's not monetary success that drives it, right? Like, that's just like waking up every day, like wanting to do what you want to do,
Sure. No, man, it's awesome.
No
it's
doubt. Well, very well said. Both guys are really great. I mean, that's part of the that's part of the fun of it. I do think back, by the way, to 2001 when I made, because it was right. I was already starting to make move, but 9/11 kind of really pushed me, in that direction completely, because I worked in the city, and But yeah, it was. I do think back to this. I'm like, man, I would be a lot wealthier.
No doubt, dude.
Well, I probably would be as happy, but I would be a lot wealthier.
Yeah,
But
right.
it's and of course my friends and family like to remind me of that. But I say, you know what? Like, there's no there, everybody, of course, people always remind. But you have to like when you know what you want to do. And I would say, like, not that you can't change what your focus is. That's the beauty to me of like, as long as I'm alive, I could always change if I need to. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like, that's the way I look at it. Like, if for some
Right,
reason,
and just
what
Dave, just look at your
that changes,
path.
hey,
You know,
yeah, exactly.
look at what you were doing, Dave. Like how many times, even within your business, that you've changed,
so many
right,
times.
or tweaked so many things, or the willingness to like, hey, yeah, like I'm gonna pivot, or I gotta make a move, or shit that comes up, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, COVID. Oh, damn. Like, we can't be doing this anymore. We got to go do this or whatever it is, right? Like, you flow with it and go like, okay, something bad happened. Like, do you put your head in the sand and you go down and that's the end of it? Or do you like, you know what I mean? Do you find another way? Like, it just really comes down to that. Like, you know, like I've literally, I mean, thinking back to like when I first met Coach Shu and what we were doing, like we were doing a New York, New Jersey All-Star game. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
that's
like,
right.
To think about that, like now, like
that was a great game. It doesn't exist anymore. It was a great game.
That's what I'm saying. Like, here you go. Like, that's where we met, right? And then, like, okay, like we're doing showcases, we're doing camps, we're doing this, we're doing training. All right, well, we got a 7-on-7 club here. All right, well, you know what? Like, we're making a move. We're just watching him go from like, you know, hey, I'm coaching at this school, or hey, now I'm making a move from North Jersey to Central Jersey. Like, let's take over this thing and roll with this. And oh, now here it's COVID, and that's a whole different thing. And like, you know what I mean? Like, just the way the waves and the flow of like things go, like, buddy, that's why we write in pencil. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you can change it and you can go all, you can alter like whatever. And I get like, you can't go back and change things, but you can't dwell on like the past and like, you know, put your head in the sand. You got to just keep moving forward. And to me, that's like some of the excitement too, because when something new comes about, right? Like you get a little pep in your step and it's like, oh, this is different. I didn't know I could, you know, feel this way through doing this, right? It's why I like constantly like, you know, Coach, it's why I, you know, when I found out that you did a clinic, right? I'm like, this is awesome because I want to learn new shit.
Yeah,
like I know
sure.
what we do works, but why not find another way or a better way and communicate with that type of stuff? Like that stuff's awesome, you know, like if you want to be the same old, that's fine. And you might win like that. And that's okay. You know what I mean? Because there's a million ways to win and do whatever your ultimate goal is. There's a lot of ways to achieve it. I can give you the framework, but for the most part, you got to take it and go. But, you know, that's some of the beauty in that too, man, is like, it doesn't have to stay stagnant and it doesn't have to stay the same. And, you know, a lot of people that are uber successful, like you're going to be called crazy, bro, because what you're doing isn't the norm. And most people are going to remind you, like, do you want to be that same old 9
especially
to 5
at especially at our age too, you know, especially
Dude.
at our age. It's like, dude, like what you guys are successful doing this. And, you know, you know, and what are we doing? We're talking in our basement or our living room or wherever it might be. And we're having real conversations and people listen to them. So I think we are the envy of a lot of people, whether they like to admit it or not. So
because a lot of people aren't willing to take those risks, right? Because they're pigeonholed into a certain situation.
100%.
You know, like, oh, I can't do this because, you know, the money's too good here or to that. But look, I credit my wife as well, like with that whole process of like, look, like we'll figure out a way to make money. We'll figure out a way to survive when it comes to that. But like, if we're not happy, like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know,
I didn't start making money until 5 years ago, dude. I was a freaking security guard until I was 33 years old, you know, like it didn't pay. It didn't pay very well, but we figured it out. And now, you know, make a little bit more money, still can't afford nothing, but it's funny how that works as you get older. But,
yeah, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Coach, it's been phenomenal having you on. I really enjoyed talking with you. you're doing great things, man. It's really like I really enjoyed looking up,
Yep.
before it came on, like looking up your journey,
Yeah.
really just
It's
to
a
really
long one,
understand.
man. I was telling Coach D
Cool.
before you
It's
got
cool.
on, I was like, there's a lot of stuff out there. So there's a lot of I've done a
Yeah.
couple podcasts before. They're like, I had no idea that you did all this, and I'm like, yeah, well, there's a lot that you still don't know, and we'll talk about it on the show, and that's what we did today. So.
No, that's awesome.
Awesome.
No, it's
No,
been
man,
awesome, man. I appreciate you guys
I'm
having
glad
me
we could
on.
finally, I'm glad we could finally work it out, man. Because like I said, you're a busy guy.
Yeah,
and
for
look,
sure,
you're doing
man.
great things down there. I really enjoyed that clinic that you had. You had some great speakers. It was a
Yeah,
great
we'll try and
night
we'll
of
try
awesome
and keep
stuff.
that
Like,
going, and it's been
it was
pretty
cool.
successful. So we're trying to get the numbers up. So who knows? Maybe a
And for
live
me-
show next year. We'll do it from the cafeteria.
Awesome, brother. I appreciate you,
No
man.
doubt.
Good luck. And
All right.
obviously, look, if we could do anything for you, please reach out. Let us know.
For sure.
Good luck with your 5 guys in the weight room. I'm sure they're working hard and they're getting after it.
They're getting after it. So I'm sure a lot of them are going to be watching this and be like, hey, maybe I should get in there, or maybe I should push a little bit more. So that's good, man. I appreciate you guys having me on, and best of luck to your success as well.
Thanks, buddy. We'll
Thanks
talk
so much,
soon.
Coach.
Yep.
Have a great day, Coach.
All right, you too.
All right, bye. Phenomenal stuff. Great stuff.
It's cool. It's always good to talk to you guys, bro. And look, obviously being 2 Group 1 guys, like, we know how tough that shit is. Like, people they have no concept of how tough coaching Group 1 is, man. Like, when you're literally, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a different beast. And for him to grow numbers like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's unbelievable in the short amount of time that he's really kind of turned that thing around, which is awesome. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough to go from, having 60 guys in a program at a Group 1, dude. That's like unheard of.
It's phenomenal numbers. It's fantastic stuff. After a long weekend, it was a great podcast to have, and I'm still recovering, but
yeah,
it doesn't stop. So I kind of coached middle school track today. Although we brought out, and I gotta go because I gotta go to this Rebel Republic podcast. But we brought out. So have you ever seen these long bands? You know what I'm talking about? The really big. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? The really big, like 6 feet long. Have you seen them?
Yeah. Where you put them around, like you put them around their waists, and like guy holds it. Yeah. Guy holds it, and you're going. Yeah, we're talking resistance.
Yeah. Instead of using instead of using the bungee or using,
of course,
like a thing that holds it back around. Yeah. But it was, what I thought was really cool about it. It was the first time I've used the smaller bands, but it was the first time I used this thing, and someone recommended it to me. It must have been, I don't remember who. Maybe someone mentioned it on the podcast, and it's cool because it kind of gives them the resistance, but the pressure on you as a person holding it back is nowhere near as much, which I thought was pretty interesting. Whereas usually you're kind of tugged in,
and especially with working with the age group that you are, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want that guy to freaking get hurt. You know what I'm saying?
I had the high school kids that helped me from CBA, by the way, who were phenomenal athletes themselves.
Yeah, buddy. And geniuses.
Yeah.
All their GPAs are probably right.
But the times they're already on, these guys are running that helped me. They were like freshmen, sophomores. They're already running these great times. But so, but he, but they were able to help me. So it's really, it was cool because I was worried, can I have them help me with it? And I was like, as soon as I felt it, I'm like, yeah, these guys could do it. I could just watch their form and stuff. But
absolutely, it allows you to coach a little bit more.
Yeah. It's the kids. It's great because I'm able to just take that group of kids and just work with them. And they're what do you want, buddy? Relax. Get your ball. He usually doesn't say anything, but every once in a while he like has something on his mind.
Good, brother. All good.
But anyway, I'll let you go. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting.
No, it was good. Yeah, tomorrow we have Jeremy Frisch. He's a strength and conditioning coach, also a football coach. He's worked, dude, like long-term athletic development type stuff, physical education world. Like, he's up at Clinton High School, in Massachusetts, and he has some interesting takes on just like, training the young kid as just an overall athlete rather than, a football player, a soccer girl, a this, just like, so be awesome to kind of pick his brain tomorrow. What time? And we're at 10. So I'm curious to, see how he looks at that about, like training that younger athlete as an actual athlete and not like, a basketball player, a baseball player, this guy's a football guy.
Doubt.
Like, no. So, all right, buddy. Go get after it.
Pod.
Talk some Republican world.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Piss somebody off, buddy. Go piss somebody off.
Sure I will.
All
Have
right,
a great day.
Talk to you tomorrow.
All right.
Later.